Hi there, team, and welcome back. We're getting closer and closer to picking a poem that we're going to publish, but we're not quite there yet, okay? So just to review, we've been talking about sensory details, sounds in poems, and what poems look like on the page. So today, before we get started, I want you to look through your notebook or scroll through your document and briefly just review what you've written. So if you want to pause here and just review the things that you've written, now's the time. We're going to pause and review. So most of you probably have this done if you've been following the directions the last few days, so this one shouldn't take long as you've already done this, okay? So you're going to find a sensory detail, sounds that you've included in a poem. You're going to think about what decisions you've made about what the poem looks like on the page, whether you made that a shape or not. Just think about why you made the choice you did. And I want you to find a place where you used repetition and why you chose to repeat those particular words, okay? So if you've already done this, then it's a quick review and you can keep going. If you want to challenge yourself to find different answers to these questions, go for that too, all right? Go ahead and pause and review. We're also going to refresh our memories super briefly to think about things that we've learned so far. I think I stumbled on this same slide yesterday also. Oh well. So we're reviewing sensory details. We know that some poems rhyme. We know that poems can have short lines. They can be about anything. You can write about an object using personification. You can use alliteration. You might have long lines, you might have short lines, you might have both. You might have stanzas. You might have the same number of lines in each stanza. You might have your poem in a particular shape to help your reader know what it's about. You might repeat words or phrases to create sounds using repetition. You might use onomatopoeia and include words that sound like what a poem is about. All right? I want you to look for these things in the poem we're about to read today. Now, I really like this poem, and you're going to see why right away. It's called Cow by Valerie Worth. All right, so I want you to listen for anything that you saw or that you remember is on that notes page. The cow, coming across the grass, moves like a mountain toward us. Her hip bones jut like sharp peaks of stone. Her hooves thump like dropped rocks. Almost too late, she stops. And I had to put a picture of a cow. All right, read this one with me. You can read it out loud or in your head. Cow by Valerie Worth. The cow, coming across the grass, moves like a mountain toward us. Her hip bones jut like sharp peaks of stone. Her hooves thump like dropped rocks. Almost too late, she stops. Now it's time to pause and think. What did you notice about this poem? And what words does the poet use to help us imagine this cow moving like a mountain? If you need to rewind and look at it again, you can do that. All right, go ahead and pause here. Now that you've thought about your own answers, I just have some possible answers. And once again, these don't need to be the answers that you said. It doesn't mean that it's wrong if it doesn't show up on this list. Some of your possible answers might include, the poet talks about how her hip bones jut like sharp peaks of mountains. It also says that her hooves thump like dropped rocks. Oops, I forgot a quotation at the end of that. You might have even be able to hear the cow's hooves going thump, thump, thump as she walks. So something that I want you to think about is what a simile is. This is something you've probably heard before, but I want to review it with you just in case. So when you're using simile, it's when you compare two things using the words like or as. So her hip bones jut like sharp peaks of mountains. The sky was as beautiful as crashing waves on an ocean. I don't know. So now we're going to pause and brainstorm other animal similes. So if a cow moves like a mountain, what kind of animal might move like a river, or a train, or a rock, or a yo-yo? So your pause and think is to try to come up with answers for each of those questions. Go ahead and try. Some of your possible answers might have included: a snake is long and winding like a river. A horse runs like a train really fast. Turtles could be like rocks. They just sit there and don't move around much, unless you're someone in particular in our class who actually has a very fast turtle. Or maybe you think that chimpanzees move like yo-yos as they swing from branches and go up and down. Now, I'm sure you guys came up with a lot of different answers than that, but this is what I have. So remember, it's not wrong just because it's not on the page. So for writing time today, the first thing you're going to do in those 20 to 30 minutes is write a poem that uses a simile or go back and add a simile to a past poem. Then you have your freedom again. You can go and you can write another animal poem or about a thing that makes noise. You can, oh, I noticed that's on the list twice. You can write a poem about the weather, about a feeling. You can do another object poem, or you can free write, free verse, anything you want in poetry, okay? So that's up to you, but I do really want you to spend about 20 to 30 minutes on it, okay? So first thing you're going to do is you're going to either practice writing similes, or you are going to add one to your poetry, as long as you're practicing that for a little bit first before you go on to writing. So reminder, a simile is when you compare two things using like or as. Like, let's see, Nigel, my puppy, his eyes, I'm starting to see that they're kind of green. So I might say that Nigel's eyes were green like a mossy fern, or like a mossy tree, or Nigel's, let's see, Nigel's fur was dirty like a pig in the mud, or as dirty as a pig in the mud. I don't know. These are just what's coming off the top of my head. If you want to try to get some more examples for similes, you can go ahead and Google similes for kids. Okay? I can't wait to see what you write. Feel free to share your poetry, and go bees!